Guy Carpenter, India Property Insurance Market, Sustainable Growth Amidst Crisis virtual event. We will be starting in the next 2 minutes. We are waiting for a few more participants to join in. Thanks for your patience. A very good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Marsh and Guy Carpenter India Property Insurance Market Sustainable Growth Amidst Crisis virtual event. We thank you all for making time for this event today. We will open the conference with Sanjay, Sanjay Kedia, who is the CEO and country head for Marsh in India, NMMC. Sanjay, over to you.
Thank you, Nymphia. Hello, everyone, and once again, a very good afternoon to all of you. We appreciate you taking out time for our India Rendezvous Property Insurance market event, Sustainable Growth Amidst Crisis. It's amazing to see how property insurance market has delivered growth in the middle of this pandemic crisis. Other classes of insurance, some of them did face a challenge, but property grew. GIC, the national reinsurer, had taken number of major steps even before the pandemic had begun. And I think that really helped the Indian market have a very disciplined approach towards underwriting and seen a healthy growth in the property insurance market. We are very pleased to have Mr. Deepak Prasad, Director and General Manager, GIC Re, and Mr. Milind Kole, Chief Underwriter, Reinsurer, Bharti AXA, and we really thank them as our keynote speaker. Thank you once again, all of you, and I hand over to Nymphia once again.
Nymphia, you are on the mute.
You're on mute. Sorry about that. So thank you, Sanjay, for your opening remarks. And we now invite Mr. Deepak Prasad, sir, who is the Director and General Manager at GIC Re. Sir, in addition, is the Chief Underwriting Officer and Chief Marketing Officer as well at GIC. He oversees the departments of non-marine, domestic and foreign property, engineering and large risk, broker relationship management, all reinsurance pools, CSR, M&A, marketing and protection, the retro protection. Sir, we request you to share your views on the Indian non-life market in 2020, the role GIC has played in lending sustainability to the market through the rate rise, which was led by GIC, and how you view the upcoming Indian renewals on 1st April 2021, especially on the property class of business. Over to you, sir.
Okay. Very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I guess there would be many people across various time zones. And I guess most of you are reinsurers. And as all of us know, reinsurance is such a wonderful thing that there's always a space for more people to step in. It's a pleasure to be able to speak to all of you on Indian property market. And I thank the Marsh teams for bringing us together. I guess the Marsh team is going to delve into the details of the market. However, let me place before you a broad contour of the property market over a period of time in India. Being from originally from the direct insurance side, I think I take you back to the good old tariff days. And then the market opened up. We had this, each company came up with their own rates and guidelines. And generally it was supposed to be around tariff minus around 40% or so. Over a period of time, there was stiff competition, or rather a price war, I would call it, which led the prices to go down to as low as tariff minus 99 to some extent. Now, every year, all of us kept expecting that the prices would look up, but it did not happen, and it hit the rock bottom around 1718. And that was the time GIC stepped in and said for the year 1920 onwards, for the 9 most loss-making occupancies, we wanted it to be ceded only at a burn cost, which was provided by the Insurance Information Bureau, again a regulatory authority. And we said anything below that would not be acceptable. At that point of time, we faced multiple litigations from the insureds. And the good thing about it was we came out very well. The courts decided in our favor. And so the next year, that is 2021, the coming year, financial year, our financial year is from April to March. So in this financial year, we put all 291 occupancies. So anyone wanting to write any of the 291 occupancies had to put in a minimum burn cost. That was what was prescribed by us in the treaty slips. Having said that, I think I need to thank each of the reinsurers, without whose help this would not have been possible. We would not have been able to implement this. And the question that comes up is, after doing all this, what did we see happening in the property market? One of them was, if you look at 2018-19, fire premium used to be 7% of the total general insurance premium in India. From there, 7% next year, it came up to 9%. And this year, up to this day, we see it to be around 12% of the total premium of the general insurance premium. So last 2 years, we have seen roughly 75% growth in fire premium, driven mostly by price increase. And when you look back, probably the first year there was no pandemic, but the second year is more remarkable, where in spite of the pandemic, the premium grew. There could be questions arising into your minds as to what happened with the pandemic to the losses in the market. I'm happy to tell you that pandemic exclusion clause helped the market to remain relatively free from any BI claim. Just before coming to you, I think I had a look at something that came up, that is industry-wise December figures was placed to us. And we see the general insurance market in India has grown by 1.14% in spite of the pandemic. And the driver of that 1.14% happens to be fire with a 32% growth, health with 15% growth. However, the largest segment of all, that is motor, still continues with a negative 6%. Another thing that is happening as we speak is that the regulator has come out with 3 standard policies for residences and industry below Indian, with a sum insured below Indian rupees 50 crores. That is roughly US dollars 6 to 7 million. And it's a standard policy placed to drive the penetration deeper into this country or into this market. So lot of things are happening here. I believe the growth would continue to happen for another year. Looking to the fact that just coming out of pandemic, you should see fire business also grow on its own rather than growth coming from the price increase. And you should also see greater penetration driving the growth for the next year. I think that's all I had to talk about as far as property market in India is concerned. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deepak sir.
Thank you.
That was very nice in the way you took us back in time towards the genesis of the property fire rating and how the changes have evolved. And despite the pandemic crisis, how the property segment has withheld itself. So thank you for setting the context, sir. I now request Mr. Milind Kole, who's also on our panel, to share his views on how the non-life property market has been in 2020 and how we look at the future. Mr. Milind Kole is the Chief Underwriting Officer and the Head Reinsurance in Bharti AXA General Insurance. He also is very actively involved in several property committees and the council decision making. So, sir, over to you.
Yeah. Quickly, Nymphia, am I audible? Just to check.
Yes, sir. Perfect.
Thank you. So thank you, Mr. Deepak Prasad, for a nice preamble to the discussion, and I also thank you for taking a lead in enabling the property market pricing for last couple of years. So good morning and good evening to all my partners in the reinsurance space. And we really value your contribution during the good and bad times that you had participated. I think really a thumbs up to all of you for supporting this market. I hope you are doing well during these tough times. And let me first thank Sanjay, Nymphia, and Mars team to bring my perspective to you about the Indian property market. I think it's a very interesting times for the property market in India as we speak. And if I may say so, it is at its best as we speak, despite the lockdown and the economic situation or the GDP growth of this country. In my view, this will only better as we go into the next year and put the COVID-19 behind us and the economy recovers. I think it will only do good to the insurance sector, especially the property, which is a topic today. The property market on a YTD December 20 basis is growing whoopingly at 33% and stands at around 14,000 crores INR, which is close to $2 billion US dollars. And I guess nowhere in the world we have seen such a trend. So in that context, India is really special as far as property portfolio is concerned. Yes, a large part of this growth is coming through the primary price increase in this year, which was mandated by the reinsurance market. And as per my discussions with the brokers and underwriters, the loss ratios are also very good. They're at around 30-35%, and for some companies, they're even better. And definitely, this is helping the insurers as well as the reinsurance market, which is a good news. I will also quickly bring some of my perspective. So since 2006, when the pricing was deregulated partially and then fully in 2008 in India, I have not seen such a positive development in the property market. Let me also bring some of the market sentiments about the current pricing regime as a very unbiased opinion. The current pricing framework is seen as a market, clients, brokers, etc., from a direct side, as good as a tariff market or a fixed price market, and no consideration to the better risk management. I think point is well taken and well understood from their perspective. And there had been representations from the industry groups as this is in a way painting every risk with the same brush. So that's the perspective which I am getting from my friends on the direct side, from the clients as well as brokers. And I'm sure this will evolve, not immediately, but I think this is something which we as a community, insurer and reinsurer community, should always keep at the back of our mind. And I also think that this may not continue forever. So there is a huge work, a huge expectation that is set at our end to ensure that we work together as an industry and take note of this and gear up for the future challenges. Additionally, I think there is a good news Mr. Deepak Prasad already shared. IRDAI, the Indian regulator, has mandated 3 new products, which is home insurance, micro insurance, and small and medium enterprises, effective 1st of April this year, which definitely will fuel the growth of the property market, especially in the tier 2, tier 3 cities, which have a lot of SMEs and micro segments. I think it's a very welcome move by the regulator to increase the penetration. And with this hope and expectation, I ensure on behalf of the market, direct side market, that we'll work hand in hand with you to ensure that we find solutions for this market. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Milind sir. I think that was very encouraging to hear and backed by statistics. So I'm sure our reinsurer friends will find value in everything you said. Thank you again, sir. 2020, as we know, has been a very challenging year for various industries. Insurance industry has been fairly resilient to the pandemic crisis that had come about. It has also been a year of consolidation as we look at the Indian non-life industry. Also, there have been some regulatory announcements, some which Deepak sir and Milind sir touched upon, and some others. We aim to cover these, an industry loss update, the impact of IIB rate increase, and other key developments on the property insurance front in the next 30 to 35 minutes of our presentation. We will also have a small time, which is, I know, not big enough, but please do feel free to type in your questions in the Q&A tab at the bottom of the screen that you see, and we will try to answer all those questions in the last 10 minutes of our presentation from 3:50 to 4 o'clock. We have some interactive poll questions as well to test your pulse and keep it interactive. So with that, we move to the next slide. These are some housekeeping points we already spoke about. Please do type in your questions on the Q&A tab at the bottom panel of Zoom. Next slide, please. This is what we aim to cover. I covered it already. We'll move to the next one. So on an overall market perspective, as we spoke from different speakers, the Indian insurance industry has shown resilience, and there are different numbers depending on whether fire is separated or not. But on an overall, there has been a 2.5% growth if we look at the YTD numbers of 2020, starting from April to December. The growth in the health and fire segments has offset the negative growth that has happened on the motor or the auto lines. Agriculture premium has also seen a dip, as we all know, on the non-life segment because of the changes in the overall Pradhan Mantri scheme and some states opting out or amending the scheme in the way they operate, which has impacted the overall premium. We have seen M&As in the Indian market, and the announcement of Bharti AXA General by ICICI Lombard, which will increase the market share but shows consolidation that has started in the Indian insurance market. We also saw HDFC having bought the stake of Apollo Hospitals Group in the Apollo Munich health insurance venture. And of course, there was a DHFL sale, which led to a new company formation in the name of Navi. On the regulatory side, IRDA has notified recently MSME wordings, which is 5 crore in single location and 50 crore overall. These are the guidelines that are in place of the tariff, and these will take effect from 1st April 2021. We will see the impact of this as we go along for some of the clients, especially for some of the insurance companies who have bank assurance partners. In September 2020, last year, IRDA notified GICD, LIC, and New India as domestically systemic important insurers, and they are now subject to a higher standard of regulatory supervision with focus on greater corporate governance and risk management. This is a positive news and assuring for the market. So this is a good change that has happened. IRDA are also fast tracking a lot of product innovation, which is much needed in the Indian market. And there is something known as a regulatory sandbox, which has led to the first government purchase parametric insurance for excess rainfall, which we have already witnessed. So these are the overall changes that have happened in 2020. We go to the next slide, please. I'll now request my colleague Varun to give us an update on the market. Thereafter, Aman will walk us through some of the statistics and Ankur will run the poll questions. Over to you, Varun.
Thank you, Nitya. Thank you everyone for your support last couple of years. And good evening, good morning, and good evening. Let me walk through the market update of Indian insurance industry. Indian insurance industry has seen growth and degrowth into number of line of business: fire line of business, engineering, health, liability line of business, and aviation. Fire line of business has seen a tremendous growth of 31%. Below graph pie chart talk about the various segment of line of business: motor, health, miscellaneous, and fire engineering business. As mentioned by various speakers, fire line of business has grown from overall pie as 10% to 13%. Right hand side graph talk about the segment wise growth 2021. Industries has seen 2.5% growth. PSU general has degrown by 2.6%. Private insurance companies have grown by 4.1%. Health insurance 9.5%, and specialized insurance 14.7%. Next slide, please. Industries has seen number of losses. Below is the list of large losses more than $10 million, which has impacted the industry. Major one are Unicharm, Bilosa Industries, Tagros Chemical. If you see, major of the accounts are led by public sector companies, and these are 100% gross loss based on the market estimation. Next slide, please. 2020 has seen number of CAT events. These are 4 CAT events. First one is Amphan, which has occurred in the month of May, West Bengal, Odisha. Approximate gross loss is $215 million. Loss distribution of 89 to 90% fire engineering, 9% motor, and 2% miscellaneous. Second event is Nisarg, which occurred in the month of June in Maharashtra. Approximate gross loss of $35 million. Event has impacted multiple line of business, fire, motor, engineering. Third event, which is flood in various states, which occurred in the month of October: Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, and Telangana. Approximate gross loss is $33 million. And the fourth event is Nivar, which is a very small event. Even some of the companies are not considered as a CAT event, which is $8 million. Next slide, please. I'm definitely sure everyone must be looking at how the rate change has impacted the overall industry for fire line of business. So we have done a detailed analysis for 9 months for 2020 and 2019. You see, industry has grown up from $2281 million to $1687, which is 36% overall growth. Where see, public sector companies has grown by 28%, private companies have grown by 42%. In terms of the loss ratio, if you see the loss ratios, industries have improved the overall loss ratio from 50% to 36%. Same if you see the public sector companies from 58 to 43%, and private companies 42, 30%. The below pie chart talk about how the overall risk class has been divided. So large risk has grown by 50 to 55%, and medium risk has grown by 30 to 35%, and small risk has grown by 15 to 20%. And if you see the left hand side pie chart, post IIB, the large risk pie has changed from 35% to 39%. Which are quite a positive growth for the overall industry. Next slide, please.
Hi, everybody. We now have the first poll question. We request you to choose the options in front of you and quickly read out the question. Given the implementation of minimum rates across occupancies, what is the average increase in property rates you foresee in the Indian market? Option 1, between 10 to 20%. Option 2, between 20 to 30%. And option 3, more than 30%. So we'll give a few more seconds. I see quite a lot of people have already replied. We will give a few more seconds before we end the poll and display the results. It will be good to see the pulse of what everyone feels in the average increase in the property rates. We'll just give a few more seconds. We've got around 60% of the replies already. Yeah. So we have got the replies. It is good to see that majority of the audience thinks the average property rates increases between 20 to 30%. So we will further discuss that in the coming slides. Varun, back to you again.
Thank you, Ankur. Yeah. Next slide, please. As everyone has voted on how the percentages growth has happened, so we have done a detailed analysis of various segment insurance companies who's working working on various insurance industry in India. We have done analysis for 8 companies, and these 8 companies are participating in various risk segment. That's why if you see the graph has been quite up and down. The blue line talk about rate for 2020. Orange talk about 2019 rate, and percentage growth for the blue box. If you see, some of the companies has grown by 41%, some of the companies have grown by 72%, some of the 12%. So overall industry has seen a growth of 36%, as we have mentioned in the previous slides. So industry has seen overall positive impact for both private company and public sector companies. I will just request my colleague Aman to take you forward to rest of the slides.
Thank you so much, Varun. So now to understand the impact of these rate increase on the treaties that we have, we compared the data of 5 key insurance companies in the market over the year from Jan to September 2020 and Jan to September 2019. And for the 3 quarters, we tried to see how the surplus treaties results have developed for these 2 years. And what we saw that on an average, the treaty premium has increased by 57%. And the trend that we are seeing that most of the companies are on track to overachieve their estimated premium income in 2020. So we can see that the entire event of the minimum rates that is coming down to the proportional treaties in the market. Another thing that we saw was the treaty balance. If we remove the commissions and the claims paid, then the balance to reinsurers, that has shown a tremendous growth of 151% in the market. So these are for the 2 quarters that we saw the results, and we see that these trend to continue in the next year, in the coming years as well, that proportional treaties will perform significantly better than they had in the past. Next slide, please.
So friends, we now have the second polling question, which is already there on your screen. So I will just quickly read it out again. What is the average treaty balance, that is the division of treaty capacity by the overall treaty premium for fire surplus treaties in India that is provided? Yeah, treaty balance less than 2, a treaty balance between 2 and 5, so greater than 2 and less than 5, and a treaty balance greater than 5. So once again, the average treaty balance is the capacity of the treaty divided by the treaty premium. So we are having the polls come in. We'll give a few more seconds for all of the attendees to reply. And the replies are fast coming in. We request all of you people to quickly reply. I think we can end it if everyone has replied. Yeah. Again, it is more than 50, almost 58% of the people have replied that the average treaty balance provided in India is almost between 2 to 5. So it's a good outcome, again, which will be discussed in the coming slide. Thanks, everyone. Over to you again, Aman.
Thank you so much, Ankur. Yes, so I agree with some of your sentiments that the treaty balance that is coming out between 2 to 5, but actually it has come down to less than 2 in 2020. And this is what we've seen over the years, that with the stagnant capacity in the market, while the premium income has increased, and obviously with the rate increase coming in 2019 and a further increase coming in 2020, we see a steep reduction in the treaty balance. So if you look at the above chart, we have shown how the treaty balance has come down from 2015, where it was 4.3 to 1.6 in 2020. So this high treaty balance is giving a much more balanced approach to the proportional than it was earlier. And the premium income is expected to impact the loss ratios as well. To further understand how the loss ratios will be impacted, we in the below chart, we tried to compare the expected loss ratio in the market. So this is based on 7 key players in the market, comprising of public sector and private sector companies. And over the past 5-6 years, what were the loss ratios and where the loss ratios were coming from. And what we found out that on average, cat losses contribute 24% of the 100% losses in the market. So if in case the treaty loss ratio is 80%, the cat loss ratio in that case comes down to 19.2%. So out of the total 100%, we have 24% of the losses coming from cat losses. So the major portion of losses were actually coming from attritional losses and peak losses. Now, the minimum rates which have come about are the burn cost rates for certain occupancies between 2013 to 2018. So these rates, the burn cost rate are going to have a significant impact on the attrition loss ratios in the treaties. So we expect a significant reduction in the attrition loss ratios going forward for most of the companies. Now, to understand the impact of peak losses in the market, we have had cases in the proportional treaties before that a single event would wipe out around 4 to 5% of the total premium income of the treaties. But if we look from 2016 till date, if we look at the large losses in the market, there have been only 17 losses above $28 million. So this $28 million is approximately 1% of the total gross fire premium in the market. So in effect, in the past 5 years, there have been only 17 losses which would have wiped out more than 1% of the gross premium in the market. So we can expect that the impact that peak losses used to have on proportional treaties before, that is bound to come down. So the hope is that given the reduction in attrition loss ratio and the peak loss ratio, the overall loss ratios in the surplus treaties will be significantly better than the previous years. Next slide, please. Now, coming to the non-proportional treaties, we have mapped the risk and the cat excess of loss treaties in the market, and these have been mapped from 2015 to 2020. We have seen the total risk and the cat excess deductible, the limit, and the rate on line that these treaties have had. And if you would notice, there's been a steady increase in the rate on line that we have seen in both the risk and the cat excess. Now, this increase has come along with an increase in deductible, which is a slight increase, the navy blue column that you can see on both the charts. And along with that, the limits have also increased. Now, we understand that the limit increase is reflecting the exposure increase in the market. But we have seen in the non-proportional market that in the previous years, market leaders tended to balance out their proportional writings by pricing non-proportional slightly higher. And that is what is reflective in this chart. So we see that markets would force cedents to increase deductibles, and still with the increase in deductible, they would increase the rate on line of the program. And that is a steady increase that we have seen over the years. And we are expecting that this trend to continue moving forward as well. Next slide, please. So in this slide, we have tried to see how the insurance companies in India purchase the cat excess of loss as compared to their aggregates. So we have mapped 2 years, 2020 on the top and 2019 on the bottom. And we've highlighted a midpoint in terms of the total CAT industry purchase of the CAT Excel. So the basis of this, the horizontal graph shows the layer midpoint as a percentage of aggregates, whereas the vertical graph shows us the rate on line. What we've seen or observed in 2020 that most of the large private companies which are denoted by L in the charts, and some of the medium and small companies which are denoted by M and S respectively, they fall down in the right and bottom right hand side of the graph, which shows that they have purchasing sufficient limit as well as they have relatively low ROLs. But for the public sector companies, what we have seen is they fall down on the top left hand side of the graph, which denotes a higher rate on line as well as lower CAT Excel limit in terms of their aggregates. And this is purely reflective of the loss experience that public sector companies and private companies have had for the CAT events in the past few years. What we have seen that most of these CAT losses have impacted the public sector companies more, leading to recoveries from their treaties and driving up the ROL, and which has in a way pushed these companies to purchase slightly lower limit so that they could manage their overall spend. But the good thing is that from public sector companies also, if we look at from 19 to 20, we see one company coming down, and we are seeing, we are hoping that mostly all the companies will fall down on the yellow line, dotted line that we have showed here, which is the industry average, and we would not have any variations as such in terms of public and private companies CAT purchase. Next slide, please.
So friends, now we will move to the poll question number 3. The question is on your screens. What percentage of the CAT losses, what percentage of the insured CAT losses are retained by the insurance companies in India? Option 1, less than 20%. Option 2, between 20 to 40%. And option 3, more than 40%. Yeah. So I read out the question again. What percentage of the CAT insurable losses are retained by the insurance companies in India? We are getting a good number of responses. We'll shortly display the results. Yeah. So less than 20% is what 54% of the 54% of the audience says. Less than 20% of the CAT insurable losses are retained by the companies in India. Yeah, over to you.
Thank you, Ankur. Can we have the next slide, please? So I understand the common perception that we have that insurance companies mostly retain less and cede away most of the risk and hence most of the CAT losses. And hence we wanted to question this perception. So I will cover the bottom graph first, where we have showcased the major CAT losses in the market for the past 6 years, from Cyclone Hudhud in 2014 to Cyclone Fani in 2019. And the navy blue bar it denotes the total insurable market loss, and the light blue bar denotes the reinsurance loss. So for all these losses, what we noticed that on an average, insurance companies in fact retain 42% of the total losses, which is significantly higher as what we had perceived in the previous poll question. And another thing to note here is that this 42% is the entire retention. After that, companies have separate surplus recoveries. They have FAC recoveries as well for some of these losses, and obviously the obligatory cession of 5%. So what we have seen that the recovery from the CAT excess of loss programs has been very limited, even for these events. So although what we are seeing in India is a high increase in frequency of significant CAT losses, but eventually the impact of these CAT losses on the CAT excel programs has not been that much. So, and companies, for some of the losses, companies are showing a positive balance, that is premium minus the claims recovered. They are still showing a positive balance in all these years, even after these losses. And coming to the above graph, we have mapped the overall XOL cost, which is both the risk and the CAT combined. So total excess of loss protection cost in the market. So from US dollar 124 million in 2015, the total actual cost has more than doubled to US dollar 267 million in 2020. And at the same time, the rate per GNPI has also increased gradually over these years. And largely this is attributed to the increase in frequency of risk and cat losses in the market, but also we understand due to the higher exposure. But still we feel that the increase in frequency is considered to be a bigger threat, and which is leading driving up the prices rather than the actual recoveries from these programs over these years. Can we have the next slide, please? Another thing that we also wanted to highlight and compare how we stand against other countries in the Asia Pacific region is the ARS clause in India. And for various perils, we mapped the ARS clause, which is provided in India by different market leaders. And we observed that India still has a very limited ARS clause wording in terms of the number of hours that are contributed. So the maximum that we have in India is 168 hours, that is others, or mostly that is used in the Indian context of floods. And this has enabled reinsurers to limit the cat recoveries from most of the companies. What we are seeing in the past 2 years is there have been flooding in various states across the same time in the same month. But due to this 168 hours restriction, insurance companies have to select and do some maneuvering in terms of the number of days that they want to select for these losses, and hence the impacting the overall recovery that they would have done if in case the number of hours were higher in the Indian market. Next slide, please. So just to summarize, we have just summarized the total reinsurance, property reinsurance market, the total limit and the total premium, and also the ratio of premium by limit. And as we have already covered, the fire proportional treaties in India are now showing a good increase in premium income, and corresponding to the limit are providing a very good value. And earlier the trend was that fire proportional treaties could not stand on their own, and they would need non-proportional treaties to come in to have an overall positive balance for reinsurers. But now we are expecting, given the reduction in the loss ratios, we are expecting fire proportional treaties to stand on their own. Engineering treaties, there's been a low premium income over these years, which has led to some stagnation in engineering treaties, but we are seeing some minimum rates in engineering treaties as well, and we hope that the premium income increases on those programs. Risk and Cat XL have been largely positive for the Indian market, but still the premium to limit ratio is less as compared to the premium to limit ratio you will get in the proportional treaties. So on and on, our recommendation to reinsurers is to have a more balanced approach for the India renewals, with both proportional and non-proportional, which would, according to us, provide much more value in terms of your premium to the capacity that you're putting on the programs. Thank you. Next slide.
Thanks, Aman. And we have our final poll for the day. We wanted to check whether this presentation will change your appetite or impression of the Indian property market. Yes, possibly needs more study, or no. It'll be very useful for us to get your feedback. Roughly half of the participants have already given in their answers. The remaining, if you could please provide your answer. Okay, so we have an optimistic group, but we still have a cautious group which wants to possibly study a bit more before changing the appetite. Thank you for being honest in your feedback. And we now request, if you have any questions, we tried to answer some of the questions that were coming in while the presentation was going on, but we have a couple of minutes. In fact, if you would like to share any of the questions, we can unmute your lines and make you go live so that we can handle the questions. We also have Clive Baker from our Guy Carpenter London office amongst us. So all of us can answer some of your questions. So look forward to the questions. As this is a virtual event, we kept the presentation very brief and concise. We have a question from, okay, it's an anonymous attendee, so we'll try to take this question. What about the movements in RI commission terms seen in the last renewals and expected for the coming renewal for the prior pro rata treaties? Okay, that is an interesting question. Would any of the team members like to take that question? Aman, would you like to take that?
Yeah, so we did see a substantial improvement in the commissions, roughly around 2 percentage points last renewal. And the good thing is, due to benign loss activity this year, insurance companies are showing good performance for the 3 quarters that have ended in this year. So insurance companies will push for a higher commissions given their treaties are now showing the result and warrant the commissions. So, but it's too early to say where the market leaders and how much are they willing to give on that level.
Thanks. We have another question from an attendee. Would we have occupancy-wise breakup of the market premium to understand how much of this rate change is actual and how much is organic? Would any of the panelists like to take this question?
Yeah, so we are working on the occupancy-wise data, and mostly insurance companies are working on that and would be provided as part of the renewal program. But the initial indications in the market are that the growth in exposure has not been that much. We did see in the direct market that companies were purchasing less. The BI sum insured were reduced. The add-on covers were not purchased. This was all to reduce their overall cost. So in terms of overall exposure, we are not expecting a substantial increase this year. Maybe it will be a flat exposure growth, but at the same time, companies will show substantial increase in the premium income. So we've seen some of the questions relating to the exposure growth and the premium, and our sense of the market is that the growth in exposure will not be that much, and largely whatever the premium increase that we are seeing right now is due to the rate increase and not exposure growth.
Thanks, Aman. I think we can also get the views of Mr. Milind. So what do you think about the occupancy-wise breakup being on the other side as an insurance company?
Yeah, so thanks. I think the data is available. This data has been had been provided to IIB, which is the information bureau attached to the regulator. So if you ask me, do we have a data? I think companies have the data and can be provided.
Thank you, sir. We have another question from Ben. Hi, Ben. Why do you think the list of large losses have fallen mostly on PSU paper? Is that unique to the past year or generally true? So I'll just respond to this question and then any of my panel members can join in. Ben, we've seen that some of the large risks are written by PSUs, as historically a lot of these large risks were either, they were public sector sort of driven risks, and the capacities were with the PSUs largely. Of course, that shift has happened with some of the business transitioning towards the private sector, also because of the downgrades and various other reasons. So it was a thing of the past, but now we don't see that very regularly. We see a lot of the large risk losses also coming into the private sector. Clive, I think this question is for you. One of the attendees wants to know how much impact of global hardening do you expect in the Indian market?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think obviously we've seen from 1/1 that there's certainly a hardening everywhere. Probably not as much as we expected, as there's still quite a lot of capacity around. But I think also the key thing in India is sort of the unique way that the rates are changing. So I think there'll be some movement in India, but obviously the results this year have been pretty reasonable. So I think, yeah, I think India will be a little bit unique to the global phenomenon.
Thanks, Clive. Another question from Amit. Hi, Amit. He asked, how much of the premium increase is driven by rate increase on mega risk versus the rest? Milind sir, would you have an estimation on that?
I think we had a slide, and I think we can go back to the slide. But what I understand is mega risk has contributed a lot in terms of the premium growth from pricing perspective, maybe to the extent of around 45-50% as far as the mega risk goes. That's my estimate, and Varun can sort of clarify.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I think you rightly said. So there's a complete slide talk about how the risk is being divided: large, medium, and small. Large segment has grown by 50-55%. Medium has grown by 30-35%, and the small has grown by 15-20%. So overall, you can see a pie shift for large risk to 35% to 39%.
We have a question from Rajiv Menon. He says, we did witness a hard market cycle across international markets at 1st Jan. What is GIC's and FRB's outlook for the upcoming renewals? Rajiv, Deepak Prasad sir is, he had to jump on to another call, so we cannot speak for GIC right now. But in general, you know, looking at the market, we are hoping that the market is commensurate to the risk pricing. And probably Clive can add in based on his recent experience from the 1/1 renewals.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just trying to think. It's a good question again. Yeah, I think GIC, because of the issues with their downgrade, obviously the results of GIC were part of that, and we know that GIC on both the crop and on the domestic business are addressing the issues over their downgrades. So I think GIC will do what's necessary to make the market healthy and improve the profitability of the market for all. Yeah, I think that's hence why Mr. Prasad sort of thanked everyone for their support in trying to turn the corner in the market. Sorry, Nympha, can I just answer about the question about GIC downgrade? I think obviously we've seen that GIC is very unique in the Indian market. So we saw at 1st of January that GIC, a lot of people understand the reasons for the downgrade, but also the special nature of the ownership of GIC. And so we found quite a lot of clients were being patient with GIC and sticking with them. I mean, yes, some clients have chosen to either sign them down or move the business, but I think there's still a lot of loyalty and special relationships with GIC.
Absolutely. Thanks, Clive. I think we've tried to cover most of the questions. If there are any further questions, please do feel free to type it in the chat box in the Q&A tab. Otherwise, outside of this presentation, we all remain available across an email or a phone call to try and answer any of the queries that you may have. We hope that you all found this presentation interesting and insightful. And please do feel free to let us know if there are any further follow-on questions. We are very thankful for your support that you have extended to the Indian market over the years. And we hope that we can demystify the Indian market to you year on year and continue to be your stable business partners even in the future. So on that note, we wish you a very happy Indian Rendezvous virtual one this time. We are unhappy that we can't meet you in person, but of course, we look forward to growing our business partnership with each of you this year. Thank you all for attending, and thanks for making time for this event. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you, Vash.
Thank you, Milind sir. Thanks, Simrit. Thanks, Varun. And Sulabha.